Wish TV is your home for high school football. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Broadcast Network is here to break it down. Our game of the week this week, Greg, we've got Carmel and Warren Central facing off. You're saying a pretty competitive game here.
Very much so. You know, I think these are two teams that are really trying to focus in on the postseason and make sure they get things right in terms of the postseason. For Warren Central, I think stunningly beaten by LN. Not the fact that they lost to LN, but the manner in which they did, losing 48-7 last week. You see one of the many big plays that LN had. Special teams were a problem for Warren Central last week. Gave up a punt return touchdown, had a kick block for a touchdown. And this is a team that had really been playing well, had won 3 of 4, and the only loss was to one of the best teams in the state in Ben Davis. Speaking of Ben Davis, they dispatched Carmel with relative ease last week, 45-16. And again, that's not overly surprising. This is a Carmel team that is still young offensively. You see the interception that was thrown there. They're trying to figure some things out. This is an old school rivalry. There's going to be two teams that love to run the football. I expect this one to be very competitive and maybe even quick tomorrow night because of the way both these teams like to run the ball.
You know, I think this is an example of what high school sports can do with your mental toughness, because coming off of those losses to then get back in the fight, show up, and bring that mental toughness to overcome the defeat, that's huge in these games.
It's the opportunity you get in high school football where you kind of stew on it or celebrate it for a day or two, and then by Monday, you got to flush it, and it's on to the next game. And then for both these teams, you've got one more game after this one. Then you've got the off week. Then your sectional path starts on October the 27th. So, you know, the pairings come out on Sunday night. So quickly the focus after this one turns to, okay, what does the postseason look like at the end of the month?
Yeah, get all of that out of your system.
That's right.
Okay, what other games are you watching for?
Well, first of all, you know, Carmel and Warren is a long-standing rivalry. Roncalli and Cathedral certainly would be that way. It's been kind of off and on over the years. It is back on. Now, frankly, this is not a vintage Roncalli team. They graduated a great class a year ago, so they've been kind of learning a little bit. Cathedral, again, is very good. Maybe not as good as they've been the last couple of years either, but the fact that these two teams are playing and are going to play for their foreseeable future, that certainly should draw your attention. Fishers and Westfield, Delta and Greenfield Central come to mind. Ben Davis and Lawrence Central in that mix as well.
As we do inch closer to the postseason, which teams are you really seeing starting to jive, getting that ready?
Well, I tell you what, I know when your floor manager walks in and asks me about a player that ran for 340 yards, there's somebody that should be getting your attention. That's Brownsburg, who dispatched Zionsville last week, 59-21. That was Garrett Sherrill that ran for 340 yards. Brownsburg as a team had 713 yards of offense. That's a month for some teams. That was a 3-hour stretch for the Brownsburg offense. And again, in 6A, it certainly seems that Brownsburg, Ben Davis, and Center Grove have kind of separated themselves from everybody else. Those three teams are all in the same half of the bracket in 6A, and Ben Davis and Brownsburg are in the same sectional. They could play each other the first week out. So those three teams, at least at the large school level, can I have my attention?
All right, Greg, always a pleasure. Thank you. For those watching, you can catch every play of our Game of the Week live on our sister station, Miami TV 23. It starts at 7, then switch over to Wish TV for complete highlights on the Zone.